Got you, brother.
I got you.
I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna be drinking a little tea, and we just gonna
Okay.
and then we're gonna get started.
All right.
Because I always have like a little theme song.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
That'll work. I'm ready.
See, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. Greetings, educators, parents, students, and anyone within ears reaching my voice. Welcome to another episode of Meetings with Mugs, a podcast all about positive impacts in education. As a matter of fact, this is episode number 4 of season number 3. And right now, we are in the midst of Black History Month, so we're going through our Black History series. Now, I'm going to skip the monologue because I don't want to waste any time right now, and I do not want to hesitate to introduce this gentleman next to me. So without waiting any longer, I have aerospace engineer with me, Dr. Cecil Shy. Dr. Cecil, welcome to Meetings with Mugs.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure for you to be blessing our camera and our studio with this. Because remember, we are coming from my happy place, aka the positive place, my home studio, right? So let's go ahead and jump right into things. I know there is a long list of accolades that you have, a lot of things that you can say about yourself, but why don't you just give us a little snippet of who you are?
Okay. How you guys doing? My name is Cecil Shy. I'm from right here in Houston, Texas. Actually born in St. Louis, Missouri, but I came over at a young age. I was raised in the A-Leaf area. I went to A-Leaf Hastings High School, then on to Prairie View A&M University at HBCU. And that's kind of where I found my love for things like engineering.
Okay, a fellow swag man.
Yeah.
All right, I attended Grambling for a few years. I didn't graduate from there, but I started there. That's where my roots are. I finished from somewhere else, but a fellow swag man, so I love it.
That's all right. That's all right.
Awesome. So even though you are an aerospace engineer for NASA, you are making some positive impacts in education. So I want you to talk to us a little bit about what you are so passionate about in education and what are the impacts that you're making.
Oh, absolutely, man. So, man, what gets me out of bed in the morning is trying to identify how do I get folks from A to Z with their academic plans. I like helping people build roadmaps for their learning goals. And so my buddy and I actually started a company, Shy Core Learning, and we have a method we designed called Learning the Fun Way. And that is the method we use to help people study and basically just accomplish anything they want to do in academia.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's outstanding that you actually have a business and an app that goes with that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started with that?
Man, so it actually got started from our late professor, Dr. Freddie Frazier at Prairie View, when he basically challenged us to do these hard problems. We were getting done with tests real fast, and he was like, hey, I want y'all to do these extra problems. And so we were sitting down and we were trying to figure, how are we learning this stuff? And we decided to sit down and challenge each other to figure out what steps are we using to get from A to Z. We were also taking a class from Dr. Veda Brown. She was a psychology teacher. And she also gave us a challenge. She said, come up with an outside the box way to kind of help people understand what it is that you guys know. And that was born the Learning the Fun Way. And so it's basically just a 3-step method on how you learn. So,
okay, and that is something that you have patented as well, right?
Yeah, so we have trademarked that. Yep, absolutely. And so, it's what we use for basically learning anything.
That is amazing. And so is there any mentoring that you do since you're making an impact with education, with doing with your business? Right. Is there any mentoring that you do that is associated with all of that?
Yeah, so, a lot of what we did, especially in the beginning years of the company, a lot of pro bono. So it was basically just, I would call it more academic coaching, right?
Okay.
So it was robotics programs. We were doing a lot of math, science. Some people would come to us and just say, hey, I'm just struggling with my scheduling. I'm struggling with trying to figure out how to organize my classes or what I should take. And so we kind of do some counseling in that area, mentoring in that kind of capacity. So that's kind of some of the stuff we've been doing over the past about a decade or so.
Okay, great, awesome. Now I also heard that you mentioned a mentor, Dr. Frazier. Can you expound a little bit about how you latched on to him and why you latched on to him as a mentor?
Absolutely. So Dr. Freddie Frazier was my first African-American mathematics professor in college. Actually my first math teachers that were Black were my mother and father, Cecil and Carla Shine. So gotta give them a shout out.
Shout out to moms and
shout
pops.
out to moms and pops. They laid the foundation for everything I have. So I'm definitely blessed to have some wonderful parents. But anyway, so they pushed me to go to Prairie View. Met Dr. Frazier, and man, it was his style. His style we were able to resonate with it so easily. We were talking about things like differential equations, calculus and things of that nature. But the way he explained it, it was just so flowing. He would just be like, "Oh man, you just move this here, move that there." And so over time, my classmates and I began to emulate his behavior. And so it turned from this difficult class to something fun to go to. And so even to this day, when I'm teaching, I think about the way that he basically laid out the information, and more importantly, he always reinforced the importance of high morals and high values. And so, the fact that he brought that into the classroom alongside the lesson, it really attached us to him. We learned a lot.
You just spoke volumes of what you went through in education. If I remember speaking with you prior to, you mentioned that you were homeschooled, and your parents, as you said, laid that foundation for you. So you were homeschooled until maybe about the 9th grade,
that's
correct?
That's right.
And then you started attending public education, but you did not have your first Black teacher until you were in college.
Yeah.
So it speaks volumes to the importance of, why representation matters. Not only just Black representation, but the fact that representation for any ethnicity is very important, so that kids have someone that they can understand and someone that they can relate to. Because as you mentioned, he made it easier and flowing for you to be able to understand that high level of mathematics that you were going through, right? And then you now emulate that style, so which also you make it easier for others. So that speaks volumes, and that's very important, that representation matters. So we certainly appreciate that bit of information from you.
No problem, man. No problem.
All right. So while we're talking about education so deeply, I want to ask you this next question, which I find is a very important question, especially for students to understand out there. So parents, educators, if you have students, if you have children at home, please have them tune in and watch this video, because this is a very important question that I ask to people. And it's going to be a very impactful answer, because life is all about growing, right? It's all about making mistakes and growing from those mistakes. Absolutely. So the question that I want to ask you is, what was your greatest failure in education, and what did you learn from it?
Absolutely. So the first thing that comes to mind, man, is procrastination. Throughout my entire academic career, that was a struggle of mine. I would lean on my ability to learn quickly to basically wait to the last minute for all my assignments, and a byproduct of that was my focus wasn't necessarily on learning the material all the time. It was to get that A. So in a way, I was trying to abuse the system a little bit. And so I would say what that did, man, is, I wasn't able to really maximize what I could have gotten out of each one of those subjects. So I would encourage students, people, if you got something coming up, attack it as quickly as possible. Because when you do that, you open up the opportunity to give yourself more time. If you don't understand something, to get with the professor, or maybe even get with your peers, man, and talk back and forth about the subject or whatever it is you're going, whatever it is you're learning. And then, being more prepared. Remember, the goal is to learn the material, right? And the product of that is the A. So
absolutely, man, that is some wonderful, wonderful advice and wisdom and knowledge coming from personal experience of procrastinating. It's kind of like writing a rough draft for a paper. You write the rough draft, that way you can go back and you can make the corrections, and you can perfect the work, and have time to do that.
Right.
But if you wait until the night before and say, hey, I'm going to write the final draft, then you're going to have plenty of mistakes there that you can't correct now. And as you said, you were trying to get at A, but you weren't conceptualizing the learning. You didn't quite get the concept. And when we find ourselves procrastinating and doing it at the last minute, we end up in a learn and burn situation. We learn it, and then we lose it because we didn't actually get it. We just memorized it to get the answer, but we didn't understand the concept that was there. So I really appreciate your wisdom on that. Another question for you. Coming up in education as a person who's made it all the way through homeschool, through public school, through college, and on to a doctorate, what do you feel is a necessary character trait for an individual coming up in education? And I know we talk a lot to educators all the time, but this is a lot that I want to put off on kids and students right now for them to understand the characteristics that they need coming up so they can be successful.
So I would say, man, first thing that comes to mind is humility. I think that is the number one characteristic for being successful in academics. When I think back to the most brilliant people I know, the men and women who've spoken into my life, given me just brilliant ideas, they all had the same character trait. They were very humble. They were willing to be vulnerable. And just to kind of expound on that a little bit, they weren't afraid of sounding like they didn't understand. They wasn't afraid to ask questions, the silly questions, right, that you think you should have known. Never be afraid to ask questions. That is a sign of humility. And, I try to emulate that on a daily basis, at my job, at home, even in extracurricular activity. If it's something I don't understand, I'm always asking questions, because that humility to be able to ask those questions is going to lead to a deep understanding.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's a great example for those around us.
Absolutely. There's only two ways that actually 3 ways. There are 3 ways that you can learn it. You can either do the research, you can learn the hard way through experience, or you can ask someone. So be a little vulnerable. That's a good lesson for educators as well as students. So students, I hope you are soaking all of this up. Parents, again, please show your kids this video. All right. So my last question that I always ask every guest on the show is, what is in your cup of positivity?
Hey, man. So, got to use a high school example. I had to write a self-reflective paper, and my thesis statement was, thrive off what you have, but what you don't have, you don't need. I still use that to today. Anytime I'm met with a challenge, what gets me through is to focus on the positive, to focus on what I have, and use that to see me through.
Wow. That is very impactful, very positive wisdom coming from Dr. Cecil Shy. When you talk about being thankful for what you have, and we're talking about that attitude of gratitude, right? Being thankful for the wisdom that we have, for the jobs that we have, for the life that we are blessed with every day by the Lord. Because we could be on the other side of the ground, and I don't take it lightly at all. So I'm very thankful for that. So thank you, Dr. Cecil Shy, for blessing us with an appearance on Meetings with Muggs.
Absolutely.
It was a pleasure to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, again, Dr. Cecil Shy. So before we get out of here, I want you to go and check out my sponsors for this week's show.
Hello guys, my name is Ray DeBlanc. I'm the owner and psychotherapist here at the Shrink Gym, 9700 Alameda Genoa Road, Suite 201. Here we have a little bit of both gym and therapy. So if you want to come in and get you a workout in, we're here for that. If you want to come in and get you some psychotherapy, I'm here for that also. Beautiful thing about our gym is that, whenever you do get engaged in psychotherapy, you have free access to the gym. So come, let's get our mind and let's get our body right.
How you guys doing? My name is Jeremy Miller. I'm a degree certified personal trainer. I've been in the industry for the last 15 years. So coming soon, I'm going to be launching some hybrid boot camps. That's going to come with an app, also a live boot camp that you'll be able to come and work out alongside me. I would love to have you. Please get my information. Inbox me for more information. It's coming to you soon.
And until next time, educators, parents, students, and anyone within ears reaching my voice, see you soon.